Try that again. Actually recording this time. That sounds dope. The One Kit Wonder series is GGD's answer to something like Easy Drummer. I don't know if they would make that comparison, but the idea is that the samples come ready mixed. If a full GGD library like the P4 kit or Invasion is Nolly and the team engineering your drum session, this is them mixing it as well. Unlike the full libraries, you only get one kit, as the name implies, Dodoy. But if you're new to mixing, or you want something as a writing tool, this is incredible. So what we're going to do is open up the writing session from the song that you just heard, and we'll dig into the plugin. If you've seen any other reviews or you've used a One Kit Wonder before, this will look very familiar. I'm guessing the snare is the Vinnie Paul signature, RIP big man. A few more cymbals than you'd have on the other ones. You've got an extra tom, so that you've got 4 toms. Getting into the mixer, you have some options in terms of where the overall balance is, and you also have the option to change, how much of the snare is in the overhead mics. Now, you can use that really to change the character of the kit. Everything's quite tight and snappy, but if you really wanted it to be a lot more roomy, you can push a lot more snare to the ambient mics, you can push a lot more cymbals into the room. You also have, on the One Kit Wonder series, parallel compression. You have some master EQ, which just does a little bit of sweetening on the top end. And you have a built-in digital reverb. The criticism that I sent to the guys, and I know that it's partly due to limitations of contact, is the fact that the reverb and the parallel compression are hardwired to outputs 1 and 2. So if you send your kick drum there, for example, you're going to be getting kick drum and reverb and parallel compression, which a lot of people don't want. Pro tip, nothing else is hardwired. So rather than routing your kick drum through outputs 1 and 2, route it through outputs 3 and 4. All of a sudden, outputs 1 and 2 becomes your dedicated parallel compression / reverb bus. Then you've got kick, snare, toms, etc. Saves you a lot of headache trying to figure out how to route the reverb, and it means that it gives you a bit more flexibility if you want it in the mix. I don't think you particularly need it with this kit, but it's nice to know. Same applies for any of the full GGD libraries. They do the same thing. The thing that I'm really jazzed on for this kit specifically is that the MIDI mapping works really well with something like P4 or Invasion, so you can have this running in your writing session without tearing your CPU to shreds, and then you can export the MIDI, import it to something like P4, Invasion, OG Matt Halpern, and have a bit more flexibility when it comes to printing your multi-tracks. My computer's pretty old. I'm running a 2012 Mac Mini. If I try and run something like Invasion in a multi-out mode in a writing session so that I can get some cool tones and I can mix it myself, it will implode. Whereas One Kit Wonder, I've got two plugins on here. I've got a rouser, which is a distressor, which is a compressor. It sounds great. And then I've got a tiny, tiny bit of EQ, and we're gonna compare it to what was on the original recording, which was the P4 kit. And the difference is crazy. To my ears, there's a little bit more weight to the drums from the record. You can hear the low end of the kick drum that bit clearer. But we are comparing the drums from the record to straight, unmixed One Kit Wonder metal. These EQs here are bypassed. All I've got is one compressor and one EQ. I've just dialed these in very, very quickly based on this kit. And if you compare those two plugins to all of these tracks, all of these plugins that I was using on the original recording, I definitely think that old 80-20 rule is applying here. I mean, that is exciting. So I beta tested this for the guys. They sent it over for free. I didn't pay for it, but they're not paying for this review. And honestly, if I didn't like this product, I wouldn't like sit in front of a camera on my Sunday making a video about it. What would be the point? I genuinely think this is an incredible tool for people who want to write music or don't know a lot about mixing and mastering and will want to be able to produce something that they think sounds great. Honestly, my number one tip for you guys, don't overcook it. To channel RuPaul, there is one rule with this library. Don't fuck it up. Am I gonna compare this to something like Drum Kit from Hell? That was the definitive ready mixed drum library. The drum library that launched 1,000 bedroom djent projects. I mean, that's how I started like 10 years ago. And I just remember that feeling of, oh my God, I have a drummer in my computer. I don't have to go out and buy an amp. I can just use PodFarm or those Lapoo plugins. And all of a sudden, I've got a dual rectifier. That feeling of, I can do anything. Like, it's all about my creativity. I can write music. I can make music. The One Kit Wonder series, I think, is really, I don't know, the modern day equivalent of that. I get that feeling over again where it just makes me want to be creative. I think if you're someone who's starting out recording now, this is an incredible product. Am I overselling this? I think this just touched an emotional nerve for me. I feel like I really need to go back and revisit Drum Kit from Hell. It's funny, I've been ruminating on how I learned to mix drums, and actually one of the first things that really helped me about 10 years ago on 7string.org was Nolly uploading a preset, or not preset, like a session that he had mixed with Superior Drummer 2, and it was really, really helpful. I didn't have a Scooby-Doo why he was choosing certain things, so you know, he would use one compressor for the snare and a different compressor on the toms. I didn't understand why. I could barely hear what either of them was doing, but it kind of gave me that starting point. Have I just spent 10 years trying to be Nolly? I mean, my name's Adam. I use a lot of GGD drum libraries. I really like Archetype Nolly. I really like the GGD Zilla cabinet stuff. I really like comfortable knitwear. There's kind of only really one thing left to do.
I have assembled.